Hi and welcome to The Chat with Mike and Matt. I'm the one they call Mike.
I guess I'm the one they call Matt.
And you're probably asking yourselves, why am I watching this podcast? Two middle-aged men sat in a man cave. What is it all about, this chat? Well, The Chat is an open and honest discussion about mental health in men between two friends who have known each other for nearly 32 years.
Over the course of 14 episodes, Mike and I shall be chatting about the different aspects surrounding men's mental health. Such things as stress and anxiety,
Naturally.
men and therapy,
Indeed.
and relationships and mental health. Just to name a few of the topics that we'll be covering.
Some people might be asking, guys, why are you just focusing on men? Well, the simple reason for that is it's because we can relate to it. Because we are but men.
Rock! This podcast is for everyone and anyone who cares to listen to it. You know, we believe it's harder for men to open up and communicate their emotions by forcing ourselves to open up on this platform. Then hopefully we can unconsciously help you do the same, regardless of your gender.
But before we get into it, though, we thought it would be a great idea just to quickly tell you a little bit about ourselves and the reasons as to why we're doing this.
So I'm Matt, I'm 37 years old. I have a wife and 2 kids. I'm currently waiting to start a job within hospitality. Didn't really plan on being here at this stage of my life, but there we go. I also suffer from depression and epilepsy.
And I'm Mike. And I'm pretty much the same as Matthew. Just no epilepsy. But I do have ADHD. The why? Well, we're selfishly doing this for ourselves, for our own mental well-being as a project. For us as friends, just to sit down and talk about some really, really heavy stuff. Sort of like a psychology experiment, but we are going to try and have a laugh along the way. Which, saying that out loud, might be a little bit tricky given the subject matter.
It's been difficult for us dealing with the stresses of daily life. But it wasn't until a conversation we had about a year ago, just before band practice, where we actually started to open up and speak about how we truly felt, which we found out was pretty shit.
Yeah, band practices were so important because they gave us that little bit of extra spark and enjoyment on a week where we would have a band practice. And getting to be creative and surrounding ourselves with some truly wonderful people just made us feel that little bit more robust to go into that week for a little while anyway.
Definitely. We realised therapy, medication, other things weren't quite cutting it. So we needed a different kind of project, something meaningful to us, something we could challenge ourselves with and possibly find answers we couldn't find in anywhere else.
Well, perhaps maybe you watching at home might be able to find something here that helps or inspires you in some way, shape or form.
And ultimately, that's what we're trying to achieve. You know, we're all here to help each other. And try and have a laugh doing it.
Oh, shall we get on with it then?
We qualify for this. No.
Hi and welcome to The Chat with Mike and Matt.
And here we are on episode 1.
Can't believe it. We're finally doing it. Mental health.
Shall we just dive straight in?
Yeah, let's just
get
do
the wellies on and dive right in.
I think so. So, why do men hesitate to talk about their mental health, Matthew?
I think it's because it used to be, not so much now, but shows sign of weakness.
Yeah.
It's not considered particularly manly, was it, to talk about your emotions?
No. I think generations gone before us, certainly so, but I don't think that's the case now. Obviously, there's been such a huge shift in the last decade plus, I guess.
Because the way we were brought up, I imagine we're like 37, coming on 38. The generation where we got brought up from, was never spoken. Men's mental health was never spoken about.
No, you will always hear the man up, dust yourself off, get on with it, and that was that. That was just the way that you would dealt with. Yeah, that's
what happened.
So I suppose. But nowadays, though, such a shift in it, isn't it? Like it's kind of. Is it taught in schools? I don't even know.
I feel I should know that. To do this podcast, I feel like we should know whether it's taught in schools or not.
We should probably point out that we have come into this project with this catalogue of scenarios, which Matthew and I have decided that we aren't going to do any research, but we're just going to have a conversation about what we think it might be. So, we're going to say things that are going to be probably wrong, stuff that we don't fully understand, but it's us as 38-year-olds,
us as people.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're not super intelligent individuals, but we haven't done any research at all. So,
and if we get stuck or something, it's just Google or ChatGPT.
We can Google it together, everyone.
So, Mike, can I ask you, when was the first time you actually opened up to someone and told someone you were actually how you were feeling?
I can, it was a friend of mine called James. And
do you want to give a special shout out to James?
Hello, James Cairns. If you're watching, special shout out to you. Basically, and a bit of a spoiler alert, my mother died when I was 22 of cancer, but before that, I was dealing with the whole sort of thing mainly with like humour, and I would never ever show. The occasional time where I would be drunk, and yes, I probably would be a little bit melodramatic at times, or just really quiet, or just a nightmare. But on this occasion, James had basically asked, like, how are you actually doing with everything? And I was sort of still being like a bit of an idiot, and just like, no, I'm all good, whatever,
Sounds like you normally.
And then he just kind of sort of stopped and looked me in the eye. I was like, no, seriously, mate, you're going through a lot of shit right now. Like, how are you actually doing? And I just remember the sort of standing there, just sort of in this car park after I was dropping him off. And
I was about to say, what were you doing in a car park?
Not smoking weed. I was smoking weed. And yeah, I just bawled into tears, like, and that was the first time I remember sort of opening up to anyone, was just that. But it was just as simple as someone just sort of
going,
reiterate, like,
really, are you really
going, no,
all right?
Seriously, stop with the bullshit, like, stop like making jokes and everything. Like, it's okay to be like upset. It's all right to be. You're going through a lot of stuff right now. Like you and your whole family are going through a really, really tough time. Like, it's okay to be. And then I just remember looking at him, and then that was it. I just completely bawled into tears, and was just, it was just then nice to sort of just have someone put an arm around you and sort of being like, it's okay, like it will be okay and stuff. So, like, that was the first time I remember talking about feelings and how I was like really feeling and stuff. Like, I guess I would have had these sort of conversations with maybe like girlfriends and stuff before.
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't like a full on like, this is exactly how I'm feeling, because you also kind of like, again, being the man, like,
exactly,
you don't want to show vulnerability and a sense of being scared or whatever. So you're almost sort of going to that protection mode for your girlfriend as well. Like, you don't want to sort of let them know really how you're feeling,
because you're the man.
Yeah, and you want to make them like not have to worry about you and stuff. And I guess that's the big thing for me, was like having people worry about me. Like, I like being the one to worry about people, so it was never like something that I felt comfortable with, you know.
See, because obviously I've known you for so many years, and obviously I knew you very well at that age, and I never would have guessed that you were going through that.
No, I mean, you
never.
came
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, at your mum's funeral, for example, you were making jokes, and then we were lining up to hug you, and he said, "Oh, it's like the Champions League final." Yeah, collecting the trophy. I'm like, Mike, really? But then again, we kind of know, like our friend group, we know what you're like. Humour is your coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's just it. Everyone has their own way of dealing with things, and I know I feel like I'm a bit of a black sheep in the family. I don't know if they'd agree, but I'm quite liberal. But yeah, I don't know how they sort of felt about that on that day. Plus, I nearly dropped the coffin as well, because me and my brother were carrying the coffin in. No one saw it because we were outside. Everyone would have gone in at this point. And the guy kind of like, they went through instructions of like, he was like, I'll tell you to do this to lower it down or whatever and stuff. And I thought he did the thing. I thought he went like that to lower it down. So I've gone to take it off my shoulder because it was really heavy. It was really digging into my shoulder. So I was so grateful. I was like, brilliant. And I sort of went and no one else did. And it was just like everyone and all of my family was behind us following the coffin. Just like, oh my God.
Your poor mum went.
Like, well, yeah, like maybe. I was like, oh God. So yeah, it was one of them days for me that it was just a really odd day in itself because of what it was. But then, yeah, like those moments like that I just remember just thinking like, I know that I think it is funny now looking back because it was quite funny, but I don't know how like other people would feel like looking back. It's their sister, daughter. It's like.
But at the end of the day, you're her son.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I mean, she would like. That's the other thing for me. Like, I think my mum was like my major confidant. Like, I was always like, I'd always be honest with her, and I always remember there was a time that I wasn't, and she knew. I remember her sort of telling me the story where like she'd known that I'd been crying over a girl in the bathroom, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And the fact that I was just like, "Yeah, of course."
Crying in the bathroom.
Yeah.
You crying in the shower.
I was literally, I'd got off the phone to this ex-girlfriend, and it was like Simon from The Inbetweeners. It was kind of like, yep, no worries, okay, yeah, okay. Cheers, okay, no, bye. No, but I love you. No, okay, all right then, okay, bye. It was just, but yeah. So and I lied, and I just, but yeah.
So this is why I'm happy doing this podcast as well, because you're telling me stories like this now, which I didn't know. I did not know
and
that you cried in the shower over a girl.
Yeah. So I've kind of lost track of where I was going with this, but yeah, like that's
your mum.
Yeah. So that's how I sort of dealt with all of that was with humour and stuff. But it was never, even then actually, like then being able to talk about it afterwards, like I think it was easier to do so, especially after having that conversation with James and stuff. But to a certain level, like I was still so very, very cagey, like even then, like on the funeral day itself, like, so yeah, like I don't know why I couldn't show that I was like absolutely dying inside. Like I don't know why I didn't want to.
But that's just you. That's the way you deal with it. And there's so many other people, that suffer, something tragic like that. Yeah. That will react differently. That's just who you are.
We are all different.
And we love you.
I love you too, Doug.
Well, what I speak about now is going to seem pretty like, is that it? after hearing that,
crying in the shower.
But no, I think I did suffer a little bit when I was probably about 18, 19. I think I was 18, and I didn't really realise that I was suffering from my mental health back then, because that's 20 years ago. Yeah, there was no such kind of thing, and it was the do it, man up. Like, I remember losing my job. Because the place I was working closed down, and
Which one? Where was that? Are you allowed to say it? I guess you can.
I can't remember where it was. I can't remember where it was. I remember I was just young. It was like when I'd just come from school, pretty much.
Right.
I can't even remember what job it was. And I was really stuck. I didn't have any money. But then looking back on it as well, I was living with my parents at the time, so shouldn't be worrying about that. But that was like the first kind of time like I was stressful. Like I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I had no motivation. I know obviously being younger at that age sounds kind of pretty normal when you're an 18-year-old. But
you're also fresh out of school.
Exactly.
Like that's a completely new routine.
Exactly.
Well, like
I wasn't in a relationship at the time either, so I didn't really have anyone to talk to. And at that age as well, it's so difficult. You do not want, especially 20 years ago, you don't want to speak to your parents about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't anyway. But then I think I managed to take a quick quid loan out and sodded off to Spain for the summer. And then life was good.
You didn't come back, did you, for a while?
I didn't come back, and then I moved to Dublin after that. So then I came back. But more recently, what kind of like spurred on this podcast and like when we spoke about it, I got married in October.
Yeah,
It was October,
5th.
wasn't it? October the 5th. Cheers.
2024.
Yeah. And it kind of happened after I got married. But that sounds so bad. But I promise you it wasn't because of the marriage that I ended up in this shithole. I think it was a mixture of, like, before the wedding, the whole year before, we performed our wedding, obviously.
Yeah.
I say our wedding. Mine and my wife's wedding.
The band's wedding.
Mike was already married.
I was married. I am still married.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah, so for the whole year before, I think there was so much to look forward to, so much excitement. And with the band, us performing there was band practices like happening every week. It was great fun. I loved it. The job that I had at the time was all right, but I didn't mind because obviously there was so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
When we got married, on the Sunday after our wedding, I mean, I felt like death, but that was just the worst hangover of my life. That wasn't depression. But then it all kind of started to go downhill from there because I kind of like my head got in a space where, shit, I've got nothing to look forward to now. And then part of me is thinking, I do. There's going to be other stuff that's going to be good. And then I went back to work, and obviously I work in hospitality, and I can't reiterate this enough. When people are dicks to you, it really does get to you sometimes. So if you're a dick at a restaurant, don't, because you don't know what the other person is going through.
Yeah.
But I remember every day became harder and harder, like just dealing with the same shit from people. I was like, that's nothing. But then I was stressed, and then it all kind of just spiraled. The more stressed and the more anxious I got. I mean, I never used to suffer from anxiety. And then I was going to bed worrying every night. And then I think obviously the wedding financially was obviously an expensive day. And then beginning to worry about money and everything being so expensive as it is nowadays just to get by anyway, added to it. I think everything just mixed in. I mean, it sounds kind of like, not pathetic, but a bit silly to kind of...
Well, no, because it's silly in the sense that so many people are going through exactly the same thing.
Exactly,
like,
and that's what I was telling myself. I was like, I'm not the only one here. I'm not the only one. But then it just kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier on my shoulders. And I just found everything so difficult. Like, obviously, you know, I've got a 2-year-old, so I'm up early in the mornings. I'm not a morning person anyway, but I'm up early in the mornings. And I can't remember where I was going with that. But yeah. But then obviously, you know, like I'm tired. And I remember having a conversation with my wife. And we had a little row about something pathetic. I can't remember what it was. Just
an
a
everyday
little,
thing.
Yeah, just an everyday tiff. Like probably I left the washing in the machine too long or something like that.
Bastard.
And then it all just got too much. That one little thing just tipped me over the edge, and I just sat on the sofa and just broke down.
Oh,
and I don't know why. And obviously she was like, "Are you okay?" Like, and I was like, "No, I'm not." And she was the first person that I told. I was like, I'm not okay, and it felt weird saying it.
That's vulnerability, though, isn't it? That's
exactly. You feel
first
vulnerable.
time you've done it,
and obviously, she's so supporting of me. She's so supportive. But for that moment, it felt really nice to actually let it all out.
Yeah.
Because my thing with like depression, anxiety is I bottle it up. I bottle it up and I bottle it up and I bottle it up and like, don't matter, it's fine, everything's fine. And then that was the point where it just all got too much for me.
Yeah.
And I just broke down.
That was only what, like 4 or 5 months ago, I suppose.
October, November, December, January, February. Only 4 months ago, really. That's when it all really kind of started. So I had a lot of time off. Well, I say a lot of time. I had a bit of time off work and got it signed off. But I spoke to a doctor. That was the first thing, and they were amazing to me. They were really nice. I say doctor, it's just a GP.
Yeah.
But he was really understanding, asked me lots of questions about how I'm feeling this, why am I feeling like this? And it made me feel quite comfortable. And he was telling me how I was feeling without me saying it.
Right.
So he had a lot of background in mental health. And I was okay, well, this guy, he understands me before I even tell him. But then the cure for it was, okay, I'm going to sign you off work and here's some medication.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to do.
But I suppose what else can they do though? That's
exactly.
The thing. Like, I've been putting off going to the doctor. I mean, I've got numerous things wrong physically with my body. I'm the heaviest I've ever been.
Yeah, same. I'm blaming the medication.
You have
one of the side effects. One of the side effects is weight gain.
Yeah. Whereas I just like to eat and not do as much movement.
Yeah, I don't do my 15k runs as often anymore. I normally do it twice a day, but
the thing
I've eased off.
I've always been put off by going to the GP for anything. So obviously, like in our intro, I would have mentioned that I had ADHD as well, which hasn't been like it's not officially been. I have not been officially been told that I'm ADHD from a doctor or professional. But I used to have ADD when I was younger and stuff.
But then again, ADHD in adults has only come around that's
the
recently,
other, like, so everyone seems to have it. And everyone, and in my view, like, I feel everyone has it in them, just to a slightly different degree in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels. Everyone's just ADHD. Or maybe it's just because of like things like social media. It just keeps on popping up on my stream and stuff, because obviously that's kind of what has been the conversation in our household, is like, you need to go and get yourself sorted out.
If it was as easy as that.
Yeah, well, I tried. I did phone. The thing is, I'm almost complaining for the NHS being too efficient, in a sense that, like, I phoned up because I'm working or whatever, again, in a job that I don't want to do. We'll get onto that later on. But I phoned them up to say, can I book an appointment for like sometime this week, and then I can arrange like when's best. Then I got a phone back at 8:00 in the morning, sort of scenario.
Did you not know that? You have to always ring at like 8:00 in the morning, and you're put on a queue of like 74 people.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get through, they're like, no, it's only fully booked for today.
Yeah. So
call back again at 8:00 tomorrow.
So that's what put me off, and that's always like things like that just always put me off. Like, again, like anxiety, or just not prepared to sort of. So as soon as she was just like, no, you need to phone back. But I won't say what I was thinking about, but like I was just like, well, I'm not going to do that personally, because I've tried. In my mind, I'm like, well, I've tried,
didn't do it,
and it didn't work.
Next job.
So I thought it might be quite, because obviously you've gone there for essentially it's antidepressants that you're taking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called metrazapine.
Yeah. So
You ever had one?
So I think I was I had some antidepressants again after Mum had died. I went on a bit of a spiral then, and that was...
Did you find they helped at all?
I don't really know, to be honest, mate, because I was at that point I was unemployed through choice. I was I took some time off, and then Mum had died, and then I just didn't have any motivation to go and get another job. So
Understandable, to be fair.
So I think for the first 2 or 3 months after Mum's death, and it was just adjusting to life without, and again for for people like my father who that was his wife, the person that he's been depending on for 40 plus years or whatever at that point. So it was all a bit weird then, but I was essentially every day I was just either getting extremely drunk with a girlfriend at the time in the pub, and if she was then working during the day, I would literally be just smoking copious amounts of weed, getting completely stoned off of my tits. And to a point, I was just literally, it was one day I was lying in the park behind my house. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was holding the antidepressants in my hand, because I didn't take them straight. I usually took them at about 11 o'clock in the morning or something. And I just remember looking at them and just thinking, nah, again, I feel like I've failed here because I'm depending on something to help me. But even though I wasn't willing to do that with the weed, because that's still a dependency. So I mean, hypocrisy. But for the story, I took these tablets and I threw them in the doggy bin and was like,
"Oh, you bad man!"
Yeah, I was like, "No, I'm not gonna have them ever again."
But the thing is, that's what I think about. When I'm taking them, I'm like, am I depending on these, or can I do it without these? I don't know whether they're working or not. Because I have ups and downs, and I have good days and I have bad days. But are the tablets contributing to the good days?
Well,
I don't know.
I think I asked you this a few weeks ago. I think it was actually at the last time we had Jimmy and Steve round for a jam. I said to you, "What are you actually feeling any of the differences from it?" And then you said, "No, not really," or "I don't know, maybe a little bit."
Yeah, because I think at that time I'd just started taking them
about 3 weeks or something.
And they take 3 weeks to kick in.
So now then, what do you reckon from?
Well, I mean, I know I'm in a better place than what I was 4 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, you have good days and you have really shit days, but I guess they help contribute to the good days.
Okay.
But then again, it does. Is it going to make the shit days even more shit? I don't know. I don't know.
Because as well,
if there's a doctor that can give me a proper answer,
please feel free to comment.
Leave a comment in the section below.
That's going to take getting used to saying that.
Yeah, the share, like, and subscribe. Follow. Yeah. Yeah, so where were we? My depression, anxiety.
Oh, yeah, depression, anxiety. Well, I was...
No, that pretty much finished up my story, if I'm being honest with you. It's nowhere near as traumatizing as you. I haven't cried in the showers.
I mean, that was 16 plus years ago, to be fair. And then up until...
Cried in the shower recently?
Not that I recall. I am quite an emotional dude. That's the funny thing. When no one's around, I'm I do cry at films and stuff. I do.
I tell you what, there's only one
really
film that
emotional.
does that to me, is The Green Mile.
Oh, bless you.
Green Mile. Oh, when he gets executed. Oh, don't.
Oh, great. I thought you were saying 8 Mile.
No, Green.
Eminem. And I was like, he doesn't get.
Oh, I get welled up when he plays Lose Yourself.
Oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking do it.
No, The Green Mile.
Green Mile. That is very,
solid film. That solid film.
Yeah. Whereas I cry, I don't cry at adverts or commercials or anything like that. I'm nowhere near as
trying
bad
to think
as
of a
that.
sad commercial.
but like I'll cry. Even like, I mean, Jesus, when even like when Tony Stark died. Oh my God!
I got emotional. The last episode of Bluey.
Which one was that? The one with the dad.
The last episode. Just because it's the last episode, I got all emotional.
Hang on. They've ended Bluey. You're joking. Seriously. Well, this is going to do fucking damage to my mental health.
So after exchanging these stories of Mike and I feel it's the first time that we've opened up about them to each other. And I feel it's the first time, really, that we've both started to break our own stigma.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I mean, the fact that we're doing this here with you guys is probably the ultimate breaking of men's masculinity and mental health. So we'll be continuing to do this over the next 13 episodes.
And remember, there is always someone to talk to. It doesn't have to be a doctor or a psychiatrist. It could be a family member, a friend, a loved one, even a work colleague. There's always someone to listen.
So whatever it is you're going through, remember, you're not alone. And you have the power within you to create positive change in your life.
So thank you so much for watching our very first podcast.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
Yes, this has been The Chat with Mike and Matt. So thank you. Please do click the like and subscribe button, and hopefully we will see you on the next one.
See you soon.
Bye.